Zippity doo dah, beautiful day, great to be alive. Hey, what's up everyone? This is Chris Brown here again. So in today's video, we're going to go through your business plan. It's your business plan, the mathematical formula to writing your own check. So if you look down below, directly underneath this video, you'll find a little link that you can click on. Just click on that link and it's going to open up this document that you see in front of you. And like I said, this is your business plan. Now, when we look at most businesses, especially small, medium-sized businesses, usually, the big billion-dollar companies have business plans, but, small companies, a lot of times, they just don't have a plan. And they'll say, like, if they're in a trades type of business, they might just say, well, I just want to go to work, a home-based business or businesses that are more, just provide a product or a service, and they're just like, well, I want to go ahead and make some money. And that might be all true, but we have to have a plan to be able to do that. Okay, the reason that so many businesses are in financial problems is because they do not have a plan of how to reach the goal that they want. And since they're not there, they complain about it and get all stressed about it. But having a business plan would solve that problem for them. Now, if this is the first time that you've heard me talk about this, again, this is your business plan, the mathematical formula to writing your own check. Let me give you a little bit of background on this. So during the 1920s, there was a gentleman by the name of W. Clement Stone, started a life insurance business for $100. Took that life insurance business to a $36 million business, but during the Great Depression, he was earning $1 million a year during the Great Depression, making 122 sales per day. And yeah, he was pretty good at sales, I imagine, but what was more important is because of this formula, he knew exactly how many people that he needed to expose his marketing message to in order to make one sale. And because of that, he duplicated that 122 times per day, and made 122 sales per day. Now, he stumbled upon something that is very advanced. I don't think he really understood what he stumbled upon because it is a very advanced principle, but it's quantum physics. And quantum physics is the study of the universe. So what he did is he's taking the laws of Mother Nature, applying that into his business, even though he didn't know what he was doing, and applying that into his business to achieve greater success. A lot of times people look at sales as, it's some will, some won't, so what, who's next? And it is kind of that way, but once you understand quantum physics, you don't actually have to look at it that way. Now, we've all heard that sales is a numbers game, right? So in quantum physics, if we know how much profit that we are making per sale, and if we know what we have to do in order to make that sale, in other words, how many people we have to expose to our marketing message, at that point, we just wrote our own check. Now, it was like in 2011, 2012-ish, there was a movie called The Moneyball. And this formula also broke what they called as the curse of the Bambino. It was like an 80-year losing streak. And they used this exact same formula that W. Clement Stone used during the Great Depression, but the baseball team used it to win the World Series. Okay, so you can use this in many different areas of your life if you wanted to do so. But here's the basic law of quantum physics. Once you do something often enough, an average will start to appear. So once you expose X amount of people to your marketing message, X amount of people are going to buy. Now, if you change that message, you're going to change the result, either for better or for worse. You might make more sales or you might make less sales. But let's go ahead and, again, if you have not done so already, just click on the link down below directly underneath this video, and it's going to open up this document. That way we can go ahead and go through this. So the first section here is we want to go through section number 1 up here, okay? And first thing that we need to figure out is what are our numbers, okay? So as you can see there, it says your business income. Okay, what is your income goal? Your business income goal. Now, I've done work for businesses that do $2 billion a year. I also do business with people who are home-based business owners. This is the first time that they've ever run a business. Obviously, the difference in their income goal is going to be quite different. So I am going to put in here, though, just as an example, and this might be a lot to you, this might be a little to you, who who knows? I'm going to just use an example of $1 million, just so you understand how easy $1 million would be to go after if that would be so your desire. Okay, so your income goal, your business income goal is $1 million a year. Now, look at this, divide your business income goal, $1 million a year, divided by your profit per sale. So in other words, how much profit, after all the expenses are paid, how much profit are you making per sale? You want to put that number here. I'm going to use the example of $500. Now, I do understand that some of you have multiple different products. Others of you have different pay levels and pay scales for some things, but what you want to do is you want to look on what is the averages. You should know how much a customer is worth to you on average. What is your average customer worth to you? But what we're going to do here is we're just going to look at an example of $500. Like I said, you might have multiple different products, but look at the main product that you have. What's the main focus that you're trying to sell? Let's look at that number, okay? So we're going to use an example of $500 profit per sale. Now we're also going to say, so if we take those two numbers, so your business income goal divided by profit per sale equals your sales needed, and that would give us a number of 2,000 sales that are needed per year. So do you think you could make 2,000 sales in the next 12 months? If you don't right now, that's okay, but once you see what we're going to do, you're going to see how that is possible. Okay, now there's multiple different ways that you can do this, multiple selling methods. First of all, we're going to talk about phone sales. It's one of my favorite methods of selling because the trust it has a very high level of trust as compared to some other marketing methods. But people get to hear your tonality, and they can hear your sincereness in you and your voice tone. A better scenario is to actually go out and meet with people face to face, but the problem is that you can't meet as many people as you can when you're doing this over the phone, and that's the problem, is the efficiency of it. So if you do this over the phone, let's look at this. So if we do this over the phone, we're going to take our sales needed, so we're going to use the example of 2,000 sales, okay, and we're going to times that by 10. Now, the reason that we're going to do times that by 10, like I said, you're going to get better at this. I close on average because of the method that I use, the selling method that I use, I close about 80% of my sales. Okay, but you might not do that well at first, and it just depends on the sales method that you want to use. If you want to spend more time with people, or if you want to go for more people. Spend less time with them, but go through more people and go through more leads. Just kind of depends on which method that you want to go through. We'll talk about this and the different methods that we do have. But the reason that we use the 10% ratio is there's an insurance lead company called NetQuotes. And one of the things that they say is if you buy leads from them in the membership area, they have some sales training. And one of the things that they say is that you will have a worst case scenario of, if you do this, their worst case sales scenario is a 10% closing rate. So in other words, you talk to 100 people, you close 10 of them. There's 10 sales. Now, so we're going to take 2,000 sales, or 2,000 sales per year, and we're going to times that by 10. So we're going to look at 20,000 sales at $500, or 20,000 leads that we would need to have at that point. Now, doing this over the phone, that may sound a lot to you, especially if you're doing cold calling, okay? But I used to sell tools over the phone with Paul Gonzalez. You may have heard me talk about that before. And we were making in about 5-6 hours a day, we were doing about 300 phone calls a day, okay? And so 300 phone calls times 5 equals 1,500 a week, times 4 weeks equals 6,000 a week, times 12 months equals 72,000 phone calls a year. So we only need 20,000 to make $1 million at $500 a piece. So obviously, as you can see, how easy that would be. It still takes some time, still takes some work, still takes some effort. It's going to be hard, but it is still something very attainable to do. Now, depending on what type of sales method that you use. Now, when I worked with Paul, and we were selling tools over the phone, we'd get cold leads and just, dial and call auto shops and try to sell them. And we didn't do any follow-up calls. If you didn't buy, too bad, somebody else will call them later. Okay, and that was, we didn't sell a whole lot. We would sell about five per day. If we called, 300 people, we'd end up closing about 5 per day. Now, so as you look at that, only 1% of sales are done on the first contact. And that's just if you call them up, try to close them, nobody buys. Now, the method that I'm using is I like to build relationships. And if I've talked to you on the phone, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I try to build relationships, show you that I have your best interest in mind, try to be your friend. And when I do that, as you can see here, here's all the follow-up methods. So the more that you follow up, the higher your sales percentages are going to go. Now, I am within the top 1% of people who follow up. So less than 5% of salespeople follow up more than a couple of times. I'm in the top 1% of 1% of those type of people. So as you can see here, 80% of sales are done on the 5th to 16th contact. So if you had 2,000 leads or 20,000 leads, and if you are following up with them, 16 times, as you can see how many sales that you would actually generate from that point. Now, what I'm also going to make a suggestion with any of these numbers is we're going to give you some scenarios, some worst case examples, some what research has shown. And again, this first one was from NetQuotes, but we want to encourage you to also do your own testing. You might do a little worse than that, but you might also do a little bit better. Now, let's look at you using advertising. Okay, that's a whole different method. And the type of advertising that we're going to talk about is not branding. When you see like a Coca-Cola billboard, that's branding. They're just trying to get their name out there. The type of advertising that we use, and the only one that really works with small, branding does not work for small businesses. You have to be $1 billion company you have to be at least, I would say, at least $100 million a year company for you to use branding. So in your case, it doesn't matter if you're getting your name out there, because branding doesn't make you sales. It just creates a public opinion. So what we want to use is a type of advertising that generates sales. And that is an advertising that is called as direct response advertising. Okay. And if you watch a lot of the info commercials, that's direct response advertising, because right from that info commercial, they're trying to make you get a sale right then and there, right? And that's direct response. So the formula for direct response is, here's what I got, here's what it will do for you, here's what I want you to do next. Pull out your credit card, click on the little link below and buy. Mail in this form and buy. That's direct response advertising. Now, we do have, as part of this system for you, we do have already existing campaigns pre-created for you that go ahead and do the selling for you. So you don't have to worry a lot about this stuff. It's already done for you. We've done about 95% of the work, just a few minor things that you might have to do. Okay, so let's look at section number 3. If you do this with direct response marketing, take your sales needed, okay? So we're going to take our sales needed, and in this example, so I got my little calculator here. So on my iPhone, so our sales needed is 500 sales times 200. And the reason that we use the number of 200, so that's a 0.5%, and the reason that we use that number is because a Penn Island Studio says that absolutely worst case scenario, you should sell 1 out of every 200 people that see your marketing message. Absolutely worst case scenario. That is if you're using the type of advertising that we're talking about here, direct response advertising. Now, I personally have never seen anybody do that bad. Worst I've ever seen is about 1%. So in other words, 1 out of every 100. And so I had this John, I don't even remember this guy's last name, but this guy was he was in his 80s. Never used the internet, anything like that. Wanted to go ahead and start a business. He was selling a virus protection thing for people's computers, and he was even selling 1%. He's a guy never been in business, in his 80s, he starts an internet marketing business, and he was selling 1%. So just imagine what you could do. But let's look at this absolutely worst case scenario. And again, this is why we want to go ahead and do some testing. So we take 500 sales needed times 200 equals 100,000 people. So we would need to expose 100,000 people to our marketing message throughout the next 12 months. That's not so hard to do. Even if we did this on the phone, at the numbers that I was doing in a day, in those 5 or 6 hours, that's 72,000 people just in that. But of course, we can buy advertising, we can expose different methods, and I'll show you a method where I made, by not talking to a single soul, I created a business partnership with other businesses to where they would refer for business to me. And I had one guy that referred me 250,000 people. And I made 150, I think it was 152 or 154 sales in 6 hours by doing that method. But there's 250,000 people he sent to me. So there's a method, and I'll show you how to go ahead and do that. Now let's move on, and let's look at a completely different section, and let's talk about now blogging. Now, well, before we do this section number 3 was through direct response advertising, and it applied to whether we're doing this online. You can do this through direct mail, mail order, any formula that you want to use, but that is the formula that you would use. But so like I said, let's go ahead and let's go on to the next section, which is blogging. Okay, now when it comes down to blogging, the formula that we're going to use for blogging is quite a bit different from what we would do when we would be doing normal sales. And when we're talking about blogging, we're talking about putting content on the internet, and then Google is going to do us a favor and send us traffic. Now, I've had people ask me, what's the product and what am I selling if I'm doing a blog? Well, the product doesn't matter. Obviously, you do need to optimize your blog. You do need to monetize it. And what that means is you need to have different sources of income on your blog to be able to make money. One of the most common ways is ad revenue, but you might do affiliate programs. You might sell your own products and services. You might do some of other sorts of things to generate income. There's a thing on the internet that is called as an earning per click. So when you're looking at an earning per click, it doesn't matter. You send people to your blog, they spend money, you generate money, and you don't care where that money comes from. You just know how much that you're making per click. And I'll just give you another brief example of this. Take, for instance, my YouTube videos. I'm getting paid from ad revenue. So for every 2,000 people that see my YouTube video, I'm making $9. Now, obviously, I have to get a lot of people to watch that video to make that $9. But, every 2,000 people, that's $9. So $9, $18, $27, and it keeps on doubling and doubling every time I get 2,000 people to that video. And I'm making that money from ad revenue. Okay, so the formula that we use for blogging is quite different than what we would do for normal sales, because this is the best way to kind of look at it. Blogging is different. You know that movie, Build It and They Will Come? Well, that's kind of like what blogging is. So you build it and traffic will come. So you build it, do it consistently, and Google is just going to send you traffic. Now, I didn't come up with this formula, but there's a gentleman by the name of John Chow. And you can find his blog at johnchow.com. And what John Chow has said is that if you blog once a day, per day, for 365 days a year, so you blog once a day for a year, and you will make $30,000 per month. Now, as you can see here on our worksheet, I didn't want to go that high. I did set it for $10,000 a month. I wanted to under-deliver, not over-deliver. So that's the way that we wanted to look at it from that point. Now, what John Chow did is he blogged 2 times a day for 2 years, and he was making $40,000 a month. Now, what he's noticed is by working with a lot of students and helping people, this is what is stated exactly from John Chow's website, is you blog once a day for a year, and you'll make $30,000 a month. Now, I have personally met people who blog a few times a day, and in a matter of 3 or 4 months, they then are making $30,000 a month. But I'm not going to go to that high of a level to $30,000 a month. I actually know a lot of people who make $30,000 per month from their blog. There's a handyman, askthebuilder.com. He makes $30,000 per month from his blog, and that's something that Google has actually stated, that he's making $30,000 per month from his blog, and all because of ad revenue, and plus he's doing other things as well. So let's kind of break this down. So if you want to find out more details, go visit johnchow.com and you can find those numbers and what the exact numbers are. But here's his formula. Do one blog post per day times 365 days equals $10,000 a month. So let's say that you wanted to do that in half the time. Okay, so that means you would blog twice a day for 6 months, which would give you not exactly 365, but it would give you about 360. You're just a little bit shy. Okay, so that'd give you 360 blog posts. And then Google would start sending you the traffic. Now let's move on to the next section, which is list building. Okay, the reason that this is important. Now, when we're looking at our blogs, okay, so there's two things here. With blogging, we're actually using all three sections here. So first of all, on our blog, if we're just relying on Google to send us traffic, it's going to take a little bit of time, and that's why we need to be consistent and have so many blogs out there. On our blogs, though, we're going to have selling systems. We're going to be capturing email leads. We're going to be having this direct response advertising to capture leads, to generate sales. And so all three of these sections are really categorized into this. But one of the other aspects of blogging is the list building device on. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about right now, just pay attention to this. Just go through the business plan right now, and then as we go through this and go through some of our other videos, we'll explain a lot of this, okay, and you'll understand this more clearly. But let's look at list building. So Digital Marketer. So we're going back to another resource. Digitalmarketer.com has said that worst case scenario, that you will make $1 per month per every email newsletter subscriber that you have. Now, if you've ever done this type of business building before, there's a thing that is taught, and that is the money is in the list. And that is partially true. Yes, the money is in the list. But the money is not in the list. The money is in the relationship that you have with that list. So you can have a list of 100,000 people. You buy a spam list of 100,000 people. You send out an email, and nobody's going to listen to you. If they saw your videos, liked what you were doing on social media, opted in, chose to subscribe to your email newsletter, started receiving that, and then you're making some offers, now you're going to make a whole lot more from that email subscriber than you would with somebody else. Now, when I'm talking about a subscriber, we're talking about a text message subscriber. We're talking about an email subscriber. We're talking about a direct mail subscriber. Actually, if we're looking at direct mail, the numbers are a lot higher. It's at an average about $40 per subscriber. If we're looking at direct mail, text message is around the same amount, at least right now. But again, we like to look at things from a worst case scenario point of view. Now, when we're looking at emails, so because of the relationships that I've built before, there's some lists that I've had, like there was a list that I was building a few years ago, and I was making over $36 per month from every email newsletter subscriber that I had. So that's a big difference from $1. But that's the worst case scenario, the average. Yes, was there some research from the Direct Marketing Association says that you're going to earn an average of $187? Absolutely, that's brand new business. You generate a subscriber. Those statistics are a little bit different than what we're looking at here right now at this moment. We're looking at, you know, if you've had a subscriber for 2 years and you send out an email, you're going to generally generate $1 per month per subscriber. And the better job that you do at nurturing that subscriber, building a relationship with them, the better that's going to be as well. So again, this is why phone calling and direct mail and some of these other things are so important. So if I'm talking to people, direct messaging somebody on social media, talking to them in a one-on-one engagement, plus I might be talking to them on the phone, now that dollar has just gone up to $40, $80, $122, $187. It's going to improve improve the results that you're getting from this. But on a worst case scenario, you're looking at this at $1 per month per subscriber. So let's look at $10,000 per month. Obviously, in this type of numbers, in order to make $10,000 a month, you would need to have 10,000 subscribers. Pretty easy math, isn't it? So just go ahead and create your own business plan. Now, as you can see, there are some other stuff that we're going to go through as well. As you can see here, but it says there's a big warning sign. Do not do the next sections until you have gone through module number 2 and 4. Now, in module number 2, we're going to talk about another mathematical formula. It's the 80-20 rule. It's Mark Yarnell's formula, and he shows us. So you have your day. Right, you have your big day and your work day, and we're going to show you by using this formula the most profitable things that you can do. Now, in quantum physics, again, it shows us that we get about 80% of our revenue from about 20% of our activities. Okay, with that being said, we're going to notice that we're going to get most of our money in about 2 hours. 90 minutes to about 2 hours. So with that, knowing that we make 80% of our money in about 20% of our activities, we can get rid of a lot of the other stuff that just keeps us busy. There's a lot of busy work that businesses do that are not necessarily productive. So we want to focus on things that are making you productive. There's another thing that we're going to talk about in another module, which is another auto sales closing system. It's a mass marketable product. You may be receiving some emails from me already on this, which is our VIP cards. It's the $25 gift cards and all of these, what we call as our mass marketable products. Now, those cards will cost you about $2 per card. If you set up everything appropriately, they're going to spend on average, for every person that you get this card out to them, you're going to spend an average about $2,000 with you. And in module number 4, I'll show you how that is done. But I do have a guy that is he makes about $500, about not quite $500, but he makes about $500 per sale, and so he's making about for every card that he's giving out, he's making like 150 to 200 bucks per every one of these cards that he's giving out for $2. So but we'll talk about all of that stuff in both module number 2 and module number 4. Right now is all that we need you to do here is obviously click on the link below, download your business plan, your mathematical formula to writing your own check, and figure out what are your numbers. And again, you'll be able to see that down below directly underneath this video. Okay, but hope this information was helpful. Take care, everyone. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.